Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. Sunny skies on this Saturday here at the Big A. The temperature will be around 30 degrees. The main track is fast, and right now we'll take a look at today's changes. In the first race, scratch number 7, Keen Dancer. First race, scratch the 7, Keen Dancer. There are no changes in the second or third races. We have an overweight in the fourth. Number 7, Clash AJ, will be 1 pound over. There are no changes in race 5. In the sixth race, scratch number 3, Grand Cacique. Scratch the 3, Grand Cacique. And note that number 8, Ragtime Blues, wears a hood again. The seventh race is the Jazzle Stakes. Scratch 3, Splice the Main Brace, and 4, Empty Tomb. In race 7, scratch numbers 3 and 4. The eighth race is the Franklin Square Stakes. Scratch number 10, Captain's Daughter. Scratch the 10. And note that number 9, She's a Wild Joker, wears a hood again. And in today's ninth and final race, there are no changes. Main track is fast. We'll come back at 11:50 to reprise the changes. First race post today is at 12:20. Up next, Sterling, Stabile, Talking Horses.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Anthony Stewart, you got a haircut. You're looking sharp.
I actually didn't. I did since I've seen you. Yes, that's correct.
So, the guy who got the haircut
I got
didn't
it
know
Monday.
he got
I got
haircut,
it Monday. I forgot why I haven't seen you.
Noticed it because I noticed Anthony. Anyway, I'm Andy Sterling. He's Anthony Stabile, and warmed up a little bit, and the wind died down. You know, the wind was in the teens yesterday, and it's around 6 or so today, so we're good to go, and looking forward to today's card.
It was cold here yesterday. Got a chance to watch them work on the track, which is fast. They did an amazing job. I was here for my orientation yesterday, which is a little different. But yeah, track looks great. It was freezing here yesterday. I mean, it was ridiculously cold. So different today. Looking forward to, this is a fun card. Before we get into the card, congratulations. The New York Racetrack Chaplaincy Association is going to honor Andy this summer in Saratoga. I believe it is August 17th with their annual brunch. Andy does more for those folks on the backstretch than most people could ever imagine to, and it is a well-deserved honor, and I am honored and privileged to sit next to him up here every day. And if people realized and knew just how generous Andy was, he'd probably be angry at that. I'm glad the chaplaincy and Umberto and everybody over there exposed him and did not leave it to me. So congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyhow, race number 1. Get into action today. You know, I was looking at David's morning line because I was doing the Prattle orders. I mean, I know it's different now.
I think we got to tell them where to bet first, my friend.
Oh, we do. You threw me.
Got to keep the money in the game.
Over to Naira Bets. Exactly. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, use the promo code bonus200. Thank you for reminding me, Anthony. And as Anthony said, keep the money in the game. Play through Naira Bets. And we're offering a $30 bonus if you bet $100 on both. You must opt in. the American Beauty, Rain for the Grateful Dead album down at Oaklawn. I think it's nice that Oaklawn is embracing the Grateful Dead, and I fully appreciate that. And the Jazzle, that's their 8th race today. The Jazzle here, race number 7, and America's Day at the Races, 2:30 to 5:30, FS2 all day today. Greg and I will be upstairs. Maggie will be cold in the paddock. And Jonathan will be warm somewhere. We're in his floating studio. He floats around the country, and he's like Wolfman Jack.
The old wrestling, parts unknown, right?
Well, there used to be. Did you ever see American Graffiti?
Sure.
Remember the thing with Wolfman Jack, where the guy's pretending he's not Wolfman Jack,
Yes.
and he says the Wolfman's all over the place, right? And Gary will be at Gary Stevens, of course, will be at Oakland. All right, now back to race number 1. Thank you. The horse I picked on top has got to be favored in here. I was surprised that David had Leucci favored, and we'll talk about him as well. I'm going to go back to the debut of Bank on Anna. I don't know. I thought this horse ran terrific that day, and I mean, the horse actually got bet to be 7-1, and thinking it over. Who's running in the
behind one of the favorites in the Franklin
brought
Square.
back, and rightfully so for Ray Handel, is having a terrific meet so far. I mean, I don't know. I just thought the horse ran back to that first race, and frankly should be speeding here. Now you have to talk about the racetrack. I mean, it's gotten the point where we've had so many biases here, Anthony, since we came back from the break, that you want the track to be even, you handicap the track to be even, but one day after the other, yes, we've had successive days of inside biases and speed biases. It just seems like probably 8 of the 11 days we've raced since we came back.
Yes.
We've had bias.
It's about right.
There have been, 8. There were 3 cancellations, and there were 11 days of racing. Yeah.
So, like I said, when I was here yesterday, I watched them working on the track. And it's amazing because if you watch the races here Thursday and you saw how much moisture was, I mean, it was
well, the cold is also going to
the
make
cold
it dry also.
and the wind, and they did a great job on the track. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen with the bias, but the track looks to be in great shape. So hopefully, the complete turnover between the weather.
I don't buy it.
Okay.
Jose, could you turn that heater off? I'm hearing that people can't hear. Sorry.
Okay.
It was extremely, sorry, Anthony. It was extremely cold in our studio, and Anthony we have a heavy-duty heater. Thank you.
So, I mean, I think we both hope you're wrong. I think we both hope we have a fair track.
All I'm going to say is sitting up here and talking about looking at the track isn't helping. Not, to be fair.
Fair
we'll
enough.
see how the track plays out. The fact is, we have had a succession of significant biases. So, and I don't know why, because they've been fast tracks, they've been wet tracks. It hasn't really been just because
and if it
of
holds,
weather. So let's just say
if
there
it
have been
holds,
biases.
Bank on Anna is going to be dangerous because you see the stake face last time. Maybe the 7/8 got to her as well. I mean, gets back, gets back to 3/4. Looks like speed from the rail.
So
Jose Lezcano doesn't mess around. I went to the 5. I went to Cindy's Choice, caught a couple of wet tracks in her last 2. This horse didn't take a dime. Well, I don't really think she liked the wet tracks, to be honest.
She ran
with you.
better on the wet tracks than on dry tracks. So
she was first
it
time
doesn't
out.
make sense, Anthony.
First time out, she ran into Venti Valentine, and
but you can't like her and say,
well,
I don't think she's on a wet track, because she ran lousy in a dry track and better on wet tracks.
Well, she also ran she also ran last time in a race where she was part of a pretty good pace, well, just not far off a pretty good pace with Lilo and Rebo's Valentine, who came back to win by daylight as well. Lilo going to be one of the favorites again as well in the Franklin Square later on this afternoon. So I thought she ran against some better company last time. She gets Lasix for the first time. I was going to take a little shot with her.
She's a funny horse, because if you watch her races, she, in her last 2 starts, not in her debut, but in her last 2 starts, has broken a length to a length and a half out of the fields in her races. And I know Trevor McCarthy has to be aware of this. And if you have a track that's speed favoring, she could clear, because she may break clear from the field. So, not sure how fast she is, but I know that she's comes out of the gate faster than any horse I think I've ever seen.
Given that edge.
It looks like when you watch her races that she's beating the gate. She's not beating the gate. She's just comes out of the gate like a rocket. I don't think I can remember seeing a horse do what she's done in 2 consecutive races, and I agree, she is dangerous, and she could potentially be the speed without advantage. As far as Leucci, one thing I would say about Leucci is she ran in a day that was a giant inside speed track, and she chased outside. So I will give her an excuse for her last race, but she is coming back in 6 days, and I think between the 1 and 5, she may be facing some more interesting horses. I'd put the 3 in there. I just don't want to leave out any first-time starter for Jorge Abreu. I know he's been a little quiet, but what has he really run recently, Anthony?
Yeah, that's what kind of
Run
bothered
some
me.
turf horses, but he hasn't run first-time starters
Right, but
recently.
I'm worried that that's an indication that there's just not much here for the winter. We'll see.
But he'll have to
We'll
leave
see. I
New York
understand.
regular.
Listen, I completely get the logic. I do. I completely
It's a
get the
Strong
logic.
Hope mare. You don't see Strong Hope's name.
No, you don't.
Strong Hope is the last horse to beat.
Empire Maker. Jim Dandy, 2003.
That's right.
He
Better
Empire
than his
Maker
last
got
start.
beat, and Funnyside got beat on the same day. That's when they still ran the Haskell and Jim Dandy on the same day. I was at Belmont. We didn't
used
have
the heat.
Aquatoga. We had Belmont Toga.
They used the heat as the excuse for Funnyside.
For Funnyside,
They're really piling up those excuses. Race number 2.
Couldn't use the heat here as an excuse today, I can tell you that.
Race number 2. It's all right. Well, Jose's sticking around so he can put it on during the break, because that's what a nice guy he is. Jose's the best guy. So you've got Fingal on top?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I had a tough time with this race. I didn't
You have
want
a tough time with every race,
I didn't
so
want to.
stop
I
with
didn't
that
want to
excuse.
show off the. I didn't want to show off the win in the slop last time out.
We'll get to him in a second.
Yeah, Fingal comes back. He was close to the pace, and well, it looked like there were 5 or 6 of them trying for the lead when the
He ran
GLK
about
race
as bad
was-
as any of them.
When his entry mate came a calling, gets the blinkers back on. He ran with blinkers back for Bill Mott on the turf. Rudy adds blinkers. The last year or so, we've won it at about 20%. When Rudy adds blinkers, they usually are a little more forward. I didn't see a ton of speed in here. I would imagine Devious Mo coming out of the sprints is going to go from the inside.
Of course.
But I'm hoping Jose Ortiz keeps Fingal close. This is a race where I didn't really trust any of them, especially off of some recent form. I would imagine my first Grammy is going to go as well with Jose Gomez and Soares that had some speed in the past. It's kind of
Well,
eluded
Devious
them
Mo is
lately.
the speed. We don't need to
So
continue on that.
I'm just
We
hoping
do have a lot
Fingal
of
can
race
lay
to
up
do.
off the speeds.
Okay, I didn't see him, but okay, good luck. As far as Air Show is concerned, he's a funny horse in here. We'll show his last race because he did something that just about no horses did that entire weekend between December 30th and January 2nd, 4 days of racing. He not only closed to win a race, he did it while racing outside of horses the entire way. We didn't see this from any horses, 4 days of racing. This was a remarkable win. Now, it was a awful field, horrendous field. Relatively speaking, I don't think there's a single horse in this race. Maybe Devious Mo's a little tough to make. I mean, it'd take the strongest bias in history for him to win.
Any
Other
other
than that,
horse in this
nobody else.
race would be the favorite in the last race.
And for what it's worth, and Tom's having a great year, but his numbers off wins aren't good. And in routes, he's 1 for 16. And you bring up the wet track, and I don't really care about wet tracks, but
you have to think it played a little bit of a role
you have
last
to
time.
consider the possibility. He's run very well on dry tracks before, so it's not like he hasn't run well on dry tracks, but he did run remarkably well. I thought you had Fair-Haired Boy at top of this race.
He's
It's not in this race. It's the next race, that's why. Right, I'm looking at the replay, the wrong replay, I forgot. Okay.
It's okay.
I thought it was a 2-horse race myself. I say a 2-horse race. There's 2 horses I would use in here, because I do think Air Show can win. Because he did, I'm not going to just dismiss because of a bad field a horse that beat the bias the way he did last time. I mean, Tom may have just turned this horse around. At one time, Air Show was pretty darn good.
Yes, he was.
I thought Bourbon Bay and My First Grammy were the 2 more logical horses, and I took the one that was a bigger price. As far as Bourbon Bay, we'll look at his race 2 back, where he ran well. Now, last time out, he was on a fair track, and he just didn't run a step. For what it's worth, his entry mate did win. They were significantly better horses, and he's running against here. And I thought an effort like this could win, and he just felt like a horse for Rudy that'll probably run better today. And I just thought he was a super logical horse.
Well, this is actually for Gustavo.
Oh, Gustavo,
But it's
excuse me,
easy-
thank
it's
you.
easy to forget
No, that's
that.
fair, thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate
No, you
it.
got it.
He's one of the few Gustavos off the claim that didn't run a huge race.
Right. Yeah, and that bothered me. Now, I mean, he just ran it so much tougher last time, but he did very little running.
No, he was bad.
He was bad.
And I guess the thing that turned me a little with My First Grammy, not just because it'll be a better price, but also you've got a rider who rides very
Kid.
well, and he's more aggressive.
Absolutely.
And he's not afraid to be, I'm not saying he's going to go out, he doesn't come out of the gate firing away and sending every horse, but he gets his horses in position, and with My First Grammy, who has, as you pointed out, enough speed to be close,
Sure.
I thought he'd be a little bit closer than Bourbon Bay in race number 2. Race number 3, the race that you like, Fair-Haired Boy. Now, my question for you is, how is it possible, and we'll hold off on the replay for a little while, guys, how is it possible you like Fair-Haired Boy and you don't have Rudy Rod in the money? Top 4 in the Super.
So, I don't love the race.
Okay, I know it's another race you had a tough time.
They're
with.
coming out with. No.
By the way,
not
Anthony
this
had a
race,
tough
not
time
this
with the
race,
third
not this
too.
race. I don't love the race they're coming out with. I just feel like the way that Tony Dutcher horses
It's
have
only
been
the
running,
only race that Fair Boy's ever run in the dirt.
I am very well aware of that.
But you don't like the races coming out
I'm
of.
hoping that when him getting to a fast track, I don't think when you enter, you assume you're going to run on sloppy track, but he's here for the winter, so you got to run him. I'm assuming, or hoping in this case, at a square enough price that he's going to like a fast track. I think he's the most talented horse in this race. I believe that. The fact that
You think? Wait a second. You think Fair-Haired Boy is most
I
talented?
do. I think Fair-Haired Boy is the most talented horse in this race. That I do. And I'm just hoping he
Did you
transfers.
spend your entire day off drinking, or just
no,
part
I
of
didn't
it
have
where
a
you
day-
looked at this
I
race?
did not have a day off, Andy. I worked yesterday. So I think he's the most talented horse in the race. Whether that talent transfers to the dirt, that remains to be seen.
Okay, we should be playing the Twilight Zone music. We're at 97. And the truth is we should be at 98, because the only reason you won one was my horse was Ease. But it was such an embarrassment for you that day, I'm going to even give you that
No,
one.
if there was an ease, take it.
Well, the chart didn't write him eased, even though they wrote in the chart that he was eased. They wrote he was
That
eased.
makes no sense.
I know. We'll stick 97. How many lunches you want to bet me? I'll take the 1 over the 6 in here.
I'll take 2.
Okay. So I'm at 99. Okay, we'll show that race. First, we're going to show the start, and we're going to show Rudy Rod at the start, because I think it's very important. Now, Rudy Rod is the one, but he's breaking from the middle of the field in this race. And he comes out, and he just gets eliminated at the break. Now, it was a race that the pace fell apart, but that really helped Fair-Haired Boy. If you watch the stretch run, and we'll pick them up in the stretch, Fair-Haired Boy has a very clean run. Whereas Rudy Rod, who finished 3/4 lengths behind him, he's going to get himself stuck in traffic. I don't really think it was Eric's fault. He was sort of trying to find a seam, whatever the case was. I think among the two, I don't even think it's debatable who the better horse is on the racetrack and who was in this race. And I think the difference between these two horses, in my opinion, obviously you completely disagree, is that Rudy Rod was a dirt horse that was foolishly being run on the turf, even though he won on the turf. But he's always been a better dirt horse. And now they're getting a dirt horse back to what he does. He did well to win 2 races back, and he ran very well in there with trouble. I don't see it at all with Fair-Haired Boy. I think this was a pace that collapsed in there. I thought he got second. He ran fine, but he got second somewhat by default. And I think of the two, I far prefer the one that has the form that shows it. We disagree. What about the 3, Color Me Potsy, a horse we both have second?
So, Color Me Potsy, he's another one, right? This is a horse that used to be forward. He used to have a little bit more speed. I'm not saying he's a speedball.
He could be forward in this race. I agree with you completely. He and Mo Mischief are supposed to go. If Eric isn't forward with this horse, he's crazy.
Right.
I agree with you.
I don't know what happened last time. I mean, there was just no speed at all. And I know they went 22 up front. They went fast up front, but I mean, he was so far back. I'm sorry?
I agree.
It was just weird. I don't know what to do with him.
He's far back on a lot of horses that are supposed to be forward.
I don't know what to do with him off that race. The rider has not been changed. I'll tell you one thing.
They rode him 2 back.
If Fair-Haired Boy, I didn't have the morning line, and I didn't take a look. If Fair-Haired Boy is 5-1 and Color Me Potsy's 8-1, I'm betting Color Me Potsy in here. That I can tell you.
You shouldn't bet Fair-Haired Boy. You should really bet anybody else.
Well,
What
I'm
about
trying
Royal
to-
Realm in here?
You brought this up last week, right? How many of these horses that Kanemachi claims and runs them back quick and they win? And here he is coming back in, what is this, 6 days? He ran Sunday, this horse. This horse ran Sunday. Now, he did not run.
What did I bring up?
You brought that up a couple of days ago.
Kanemachi, 1 to 10 days off the claim in the dirt. He's 4 for 21 with $1.78 ROI, so they're very neutral numbers. Well, Anthony, this horse was 3 wide against a Gold Rail last time. This horse has a gigantic excuse in his last race. So the reality is, he still ran a 76 buyer by being way against the track. He's a horse to be in this race. I put him third just because I was more interested in the 1 and 3, but I'm not against Royal Realm at all in this race.
I didn't love the fact, and I picked him last time, I didn't love the fact that he dropped out of the starters after running as well as he did back in for the 40.
He was claimed for 30.
Yeah, no, I know. And now he's coming back quick. And they actually made some money with him based on the claim and whatnot. But
held on to for the Jazzle.
I don't know.
I thought Charger could be a little bit interesting for Linda Rice, who has good numbers off of maiden wins in the dirt. She's maiden wins in the dirt. She's 36 for 131, 27% with a 223 ROI. Those are healthy numbers. Cutting back, she's 3 for 12 with a positive ROI. I thought that horse could be dangerous as well. We saw this race.
Imagine there'll be some aggression from the Bug Boy as well.
We saw this race very, very differently.
We did?
Race number 4, you've got more or less, at least in my opinion, 2 that ran that seemed dangerous, and you've got the 1-2 with Hot Rod Rumble and Juggler. We'll go back and show Juggler's race on November 18th, the last time he was in for a tag. I just thought he was logical off that. And, you know, I was kind of hoping that Jose Ortiz would be aggressive with him in this race. And I get Hot Rod Rumble. I'm not Hot Rod Rumble's biggest fan, as I think you know. He seems to be sporadic. Whereas I think the Juggler's run better. He's not a miler. He was chasing a very quick pace last time out. And of the 2 that ran, I prefer him. You went the other way.
Yeah, I went the other way, but I mean, I felt like there was a better chance of Hot Rod Rumble showing speed with the kitchen sink a little bit, the lay off the gelding the first time Lasix. So I mean, I thought I didn't like any of the firsters from what I've work tabs, pedigrees. So
Well,
I put the runners 1-2.
You need to be careful with the work tab thing. You know, you dismissed Roddy Valenti's horse last week, and that horse, you know, you have to be careful because the works are extraordinarily slow at this time of the year. So, you know, like the 1 is working 49. 49 this time of year.
It's good.
No, it's better than good. It's actually extremely good. Now, I don't care about how fast they go because unless I've got a workout report or somebody I respect has seen the works, but you have to be careful about saying they're slow because you said some works that were slow weren't really that slow. I don't know why Central Pride can't win this race. They paid $110,000 for a horse that has like no pedigree from the first family. The second one, the second dam is a good dirt sprinter, and I'm always scared of John Terranova firsters. It's not like either the 2 or 5 are particularly good horses in here. And what about Moped Dennis? Who's he's a half to. He's a half to Giant Surprise. Do you remember Giant Surprise?
Giant Surprise.
He's standing
in
at
the
stud
Woodland
now,
Memorial?
I think. No, Giant Surprise ran 1 time. He ran a 90 Beyer in his debut for Todd Pletcher and Michael
the
Holy at
Poli-
Saratoga,
yeah.
and he was pulled up around the far turn. He never ran again. I think he's a sire now. He's a stallion, I believe.
Okay.
Now, there's 3 other foals in that dam that couldn't outrun you and I in a horse suit, but I mean, I don't think the 2 and 5 are so good that you're not supposed to be scared of horses
Did you have a moped when you were a kid?
No. Or mini bikes, sometimes.
Okay.
Listen, I always wanted a motorcycle.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think both the firsters are dangerous. Race number 5. Race number 5 is a bit of a war. It does feel that, contrary to the usual races here, there should be a little bit of pace in here, shouldn't there?
You would think.
But you picked the speed in here.
Well, I want the speed of the speed, and as every day in race goes by, I have more and more trust in Jose Gomez, and I think Queen Tiga will get to the top in here. When there are races where there is some speed, if I think one of them can clear, and I think he can clear with this horse.
I don't know. There's some pretty quick
I
horses in here.
I know.
What about Tootsie's Song? What about Dazzling Speed?
There's some speed in here.
Dazzling Speed has, in fact.
Dazzling Speed.
Dazzling Speed.
Properly well named.
Okay, my problem with Queen Teak was, and listen, I've got her second. She's in good form. You're going to be taking a short price on a horse that's 1 for 28. That, to me, is
How
something.
short do you think she's going to be, Andy?
7 to 2. I don't think she'll be 5 to 1.
Really?
Well, I guess it depends on if the entry is as big a favorite as David thinks they are. Now, I can see them betting on the 1A. The 1, I can't see taking any money.
Right.
If David's right and Carly Hustle, and he's right, and David makes a horse this short a price, he's really rare. He's rarely wrong anyway, but he's rarely wrong. Then it's hard for her to be below 5 to 1 unless she's not being anybody else. We'll see.
I think Cookie Cove is going to take some money here. Coming in for Noda, offer some decent figs down at Gulfstream Park on the dirt last winter. I think this horse is going to take some money in here, and I'm going to use this horse.
She is she's the third choice.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to use this horse. I think she'll be.
Okay.
See, I'm with you. I don't think the entry will be that short. But
We
I
should
think
move it
they'll bet some
along, or
horse.
we will run out of
Okay.
time.
All right, go ahead.
I like Stormy Cat Lady in here. I'm going to go back and show you her win 4 races back. And I know I'm going back 4 races, but this was the last time that she got a pace to run into. If you look at her races since then, when has she really been in the right spot?
She hasn't. Certainly not in the Happy Sophia race.
Yeah,
certainly not last time.
Well, the Happy Sophia race, she actually got a little bit of pace, but also those horses are much
Yeah, she
better
don't
than
belong
these
there.
horses.
Yeah.
Then you look at her next race, another race, She had no chance against those horses. Then she comes back at a mile. She's not a miler. She's getting in a kind of race where I think she can just drop back. Now, on a speed track, the kind of tracks we've had,
She's got no chance.
Good
Virtually
luck.
no
Well,
chance.
good luck to her.
Yeah.
But I think she's a horse that's a little better than she looks, and she's finally in a race, at least on paper, that sets up positively for her, and she'd be a bit of a price.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't want to. I mean, we've both got the 1A fourth. We may be going a little bit overboard with her. She's perfectly logical in this race.
Absolutely.
I mean, she has a sort of a silly wide trip. She made a middle move last time. She didn't finish at 7 furlongs. Now she's going 6. She should get pace. She has been running figures that make her the horse to beat. I'm a little skeptical it's going to be that heavy a favorite, but maybe David's right. He usually is.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back for race number 6.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Race number 6. We're back, by the way. He's Anthony Stabile. I am not. Race number 6, Grand Cacique came out. Very few scratches on today's card. Obviously, the 7th, the Jazzle, was affected by scratches. Jazzle never won another race after he won the Belmont, right?
2000.
Who was the Rick Violent horse that beat him when he made his return race? Wired
We
the
do this
field.
every. You know,
I
we
know,
do this
I
every
know.
year, right?
Well, I think we usually get it. I guess we better turn that off again. Sorry.
Oh man, we do this every
Just turn the switch, Jose,
single
below.
year.
There you go. Look at that.
Do this every year.
All right, race number 6.
I'm
What'd
writing
you
it down
do
this
here?
year. I went to
I have a
South Sea.
replay for your horse, South Sea.
You
on the
made fun of me
turf.
last time for picking this horse.
Well, he was 5-2 and he lost, so
He should have won.
I'll make fun of you again.
He should have won last time. I think he should have won last time. Now he was claimed by Mike Maselli. Drop off the claim. I don't love that. Claim for the quarter, drop to the 16. One of 2 claims in here from Mike Maselli. The other one is actually on the Rays, right next door in Summer Bourbon. This
Thanks,
horse
Jose.
is
Jose's leaving. by
See you,
the way.
Jose. Thanks for stopping by. South Sea going back to a surface where he's run faster figs. Now, he's been at Turf Wars for the better part of the last 7.5 months, but he's
Doesn't
run.
that worry you a little bit?
Yeah, of course. But if you think, and here's the odd thing about it, Andy, he's only run on the turf 9 times. He's run 49 times in his life, so 40 of his races have been on dirt.
Why do they keep him on the turf?
I don't know.
And
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is, he was with Mike Dubb when they last had him. I hear you. If he runs his good dirt races, he's going to win here in all likelihood.
I understand there's some trepidation because, like you said, he hasn't run on
Going
the
to be
dirt
a
in 8
short
months.
price.
He's gonna
There's
be
something
short.
about him that smells a little bit. I'm not against him by any stretch of the imagination.
He
Listen,
hasn't
speaking
run
of
almost
horse
2
that
months.
smell,
He hasn't almost run in 2 months. I got it.
I
I
took
get
the
it.
most malodorous horse in the race, if not one of the ones in the card.
not kidding,
so
man.
I'm not in a position. I think the other Mike Maselli horse is very dangerous. Summer
Yeah.
Bourbon in this race. I like the claim and move up, and this horse was against the track last time out. Though that was a race that did kind of fall apart, but Miss Alpha had the run of the race. I thought this horse made perfect sense in this spot of the claim, and actually the 2 I kind of preferred. I just don't really trust South Sea, but having said, I picked him 3rd, and he would be on my tickets because this was the one race in the card that I made my picks way after other races. I had a lot of trouble deciding because part is me, Trey Porciento. He was awful last time. He broke a step slow. He dropped back a little bit in that race, but he didn't do any running. To me, he's an absolute all or nothing horse, and your picks reflect that, and that's fine. I can totally
You have to do what
understand
you did or
somebody
I
that
did. I
says,
don't disagree.
says, I don't want any part of this horse because he may be a finished product. It feels to me like a lot of times, though, when Linda makes these kind of drops, they run. She isn't dropping right to the bottom. He didn't run. He was bad last time. It was a race that was dominated up front, but he was bad. And he's a horse that can be more forwardly placed than that when he's good. I'm going to hope he remembers sort of a slice of what he was. I don't think he ran that badly against those horses that he still couldn't be competitive here. And if he's the 5-1 David has, then that's fine. What did you like about Munaki in here? A horse that's a speed horse that can't make the lead.
Just first off, the Vasquez claim.
But his claim numbers here are not very good.
Yeah,
We've been through this quite a few times.
I'm hoping he can. I also thought he's just been running against a little bit better. Save his last race. I think
Okay.
the form of his past form. No?
The last field he ran with was.
No, but I said save his last race.
I don't think hideous would be fair, because there are some hideous horses that would be offended by
I
that.
said save his last race, and maybe that version of Munaki's gone, but I think there's a version of him that could be competitive.
What about being claimed 5 months ago?
Listen, there's a lot not to like. But I think he'll be a square enough price.
He got a horrendous ride in his last race by Irad. I mean, that he was rewarded with victory, and that was a DQ the stewards couldn't. They did what they had to do.
They had to do that.
He fouled a horse that got beaten a photo for third, and that's the rules. But they shouldn't have allowed Irad to get a win for that. He rated the lone speed in a crawling pace. The fact that he was given a win by the stewards was nauseating. And I didn't even bet the race.
You see 47-1 and Munaki's not on the lead.
It was a pitiful ride. I write about it on Twitter, but I'm blocked by Irad. How great is that?
Is that true?
That's the greatest.
That's a bad job.
That's going to work out well for him. Race number 7. Race number 7 is funny because I picked against Core Conviction, but the scratches really help him. And obviously, I'm friendly to the connection, so I do hope he wins. We'll start with his last race. I mean, he was the speed of the speed with the others in there, but with both the 3 and 4 coming out of this race, he's now the absolute controlling speed. I will say, though,
he'll probably be favored now, right?
I think he will be. I think David. David can text me. He's probably listening. If he's not, I'm not happy with him.
If you made this line with 5,
I think
these
David
5,
would
he's
have made
the
him favored if
no
he
question about
knew the way the race looked now. I agree. He's post number 3, and he's just supposed to be. This horse is good. And he has run very well. And David was right on this horse. I mean, David said after he broke his maiden, he was saying to me, I think this is one where the buyer doesn't do this horse justice, and he's a much better horse. And Craig Wilkowski makes the speed figures for Timeform US. Agreed. I mean, he had this horse significantly better in the maiden win. And something, they moved up that maiden win, didn't they? That number wasn't 93.
I thought it was like 88 or something.
Might have been lower. Might have been the low 80s.
83? Maybe it was 83.
I got to look it up, but they moved it up.
I think you're right.
And his last race is another one that's better. I mean, that race completely fell apart. I mean, those were fast paces.
And
David said he would have made him favored.
He was hounded.
He would have made him favored.
I'm sure he would have. He was hounded for a good 5/8 of a mile.
Be sure we've got.
He was hounded for a good 5/8 of a mile. He ran every step of the way last time.
He has the potential to be okay, this horse. We'll see.
I like this horse.
But I'll tell you something, as we take a look at First Constitution losing to Empty Tomb, I think this horse is pretty good too. When he lost this race to Empty Tomb, he was wide around the track, and Empty Tomb was on the rail. Now, Empty Tomb's going to run last in the Pegasus next week. I get that. But he's not a bad horse. He came back and ran. He finished second in the race he was second best in. But he actually ran better than the horse who won the race, but he wasn't as good as Backside the Moon.
The whole way.
On the rail also.
Dogged around a racetrack.
I thought he ran very well in here, and I like this horse. I think First Constitution's pretty good, and now that he's not even going to be favored, I'm even happier I picked him. So I'm not against the 5. I kind of prefer the 2, and now it'll be a slightly better price. I mean, I don't think you wildly disagree with me.
I don't wildly disagree. My opinion, my conviction's a little stronger with the scratches.
That figure was 78, by the way. It moved up 15 points.
Yeah, my conviction's a little stronger with the scratches.
Well, I mean, you have to like him more with the scratches, of course. I mean, that's now as far as Forewarned, and he's a cool horse. It's not. I'm not gonna, but he won his last race because there was a contested pace around the track and a dead rail. Now, he shouldn't have been 42-1. In fact, I thought that Chad's horse, that Peter Brand horse, who's not any good anymore, was a kick in the pants. And I used him second to that horse in Exactas. I played Exactas. I felt like a moron watching him win at 40-1. Mystic Knight. Mystic Knight is the last horse in the picture right now. He didn't run at all. But, there figured to be some pace in the last race. It's not like his races are that bad. But it's a much different scenario today, and he got some run of the race last time.
He got
every possible way.
Just fell apart.
Well, and he got an outside bias.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at a whole confluence of funniness, which I'll tell you after we're on the air. Race number 8, the Franklin Square. I'm glad it came back. Here's what I really like, though. I like the articles that were written, which were correct, that the race changed. That the big difference in the race was the captain's daughter entered. and then they scratch. So I agree with what you said earlier in the show. I think Lilu's going to be favored. In fact, I think 7-2 would be a very fair price in this horse. I don't
I'd
know
love
if you're getting
7-2.
it. I don't know if you're getting it here. We'll take a
No.
look at his last race. He was good. He's good. I mean,
She just sat.
She's
She
good,
just sat
excuse
off
me.
the pace, took the lead on the turn, and drew away. Andy, one of the things I love. Let me tell you about one of the things I love. I love when a horse leaves a field like this, and I didn't like her last time. You kind of hit me to a trip she had in her debut. She gallops here. The filly that came.
I wasn't here this day. I bet her last time, though.
The filly that came back and ran.
Well,
Ran
Rebo's
second.
Valentine ran second. I don't know that I'd say that flatters Lilu. It seemed like she was so much better in her second start for Ray Handel. You know,
But
I mean,
she beat the rest of those
no,
horses by
it
2, and then
doesn't
she
hurt.
left the field by almost 7.
she was good. No,
So
she ran giant.
I love when horses exit races like that.
It's not a bad sign.
Certainly not a bad sign, exactly. She has enough tactical speed, as you saw in her last race. I mean, they were cooking up front in her last race. She was never too far from it. She made that lead when she won, and then she just ran away. And the rest of them came from the moon to pick up the pieces. So the rest of the pace was gone, and she was just
I picked against
loping
her.
along.
I thought she'd be short. 7-2, I probably would have picked her on top. I have no argument with anything you're saying.
This is a tough line because a lot of these horses are
all
a
tough for
figure.
me.
On the figure with the figs, they all kind of fall in line.
Here's where I think he's wrong, and David makes 1,000 times better morning line than me. I don't think that he's going to be the same price as Moam. And we'll take a look at his race. See, I think, listen, you disagree. You've got this for a second. I'm going to tell you right now, I can't make the trip over to Belmont to get my dunce cap out of retirement, but I picked this horse and bet this horse last time. This horse was incredibly lucky, got a great ride from Jose Ortiz against 2 horses who at the time looked like they might be okay,
Yeah.
and turned out to not be okay.
They haven't. Now, I didn't look this up. How was the rail? Was this a rail day?
No, it was a fair track. It was.
So this is what I'm going to say. We just talked about how tough it was to make this line. This horse ran a 65.
I get it.
You know what I mean? Passing horses inside. I know
From
you
a
think
speed
that's
figure
voodoo.
standpoint,
From
back
a
in
speed
August,
figure
yeah.
standpoint,
No, it's fair.
right? This horse has the fastest fig in the race when you consider when she
Timing.
ran her fig.
I don't
And
like that race.
I think there's enough speed in here. I'm not saying they're going to
no.
go 45.
They should be moving.
They're going to be moving.
No. I mean, you don't know. You can't predict times, Anthony.
No,
Times are usually
right,
pretty
they're
slow,
going to be
you know.
moving. Right, there's enough
They're supposed
pace
to
in
be
here.
Well, Thin Legs is supposed to go.
Thin Legs
I mean,
supposed to go.
thinking it over is not that slow. You don't have thinking it over in here at all.
I had a 5th. I think you needed Moam. I think you needed your top
Can I
pick.
bet you the 3 beats the 2?
No, I'm not going to make a bet like that. Listen, but here's the thing. You got one. If you think there's going to be some pace,
If you don't
doesn't
say
Sterling?
it, you don't say it the right way. It's not
Here's the
really
thing.
right.
If you think there's going to be some, if we agree there's going to be some pace in here, I mean, Sterling Silver ran well enough first time out that if she gets some pace, why can't she come running again?
I hate the field she comes out of.
I do too. I don't like the right.
She's
Loud,
running
she's
against
still a maiden. I got it. I got it.
Okay, that's fine. Sandy's Garden. I feel like either I'm very smart or very idiotic. Probably the latter. This is her win. And obviously when you win by 20 3/4 lengths, you weren't exactly beating a high-class group of thoroughbreds. Having said that, the figure came back big. And even though the horse behind her, I don't have any problem with that fig. And then she comes back 18 days later at a mile in the slop and is contesting a quick pace and falls apart. She was favored in the May of the Mist.
She was 5 to 2
And now
favorite.
she's going to be about 4th or 5th choice in this race on a fast track. I want to give her a chance. I feel like she is a perceived value play. Now, obviously, she was dramatically overbet last time. But I still think you have to
Well, she was a bit off the big fig
a little
last
bit,
time, right?
but you also have to a little bit believe that horses over time run to their odds primarily. Less obviously take out, et cetera. But I don't want to be overly dismissive of this horse. I'm going to use 1-6 and a little bit of 3 here. I respect Lilu, and I think I'm always rooting for the practical jokes. David Duggan as well. I'm a little annoyed with David, but I'll discuss that later when I see him. But But I respect Dave as a trainer very much, and you want to see guys like that. Guys who don't have as many horses get nice horses that can.
I
run.
want a 6s and 7s and a little 1.
Yeah,
I think you need to use.
Oh, let's bet something on the 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, I'll be up 99 for here. So this is going to be the deciding one.
I was told by a mutual friend that I should double the Fairhair Boyd bet.
You're welcome to.
Let's do it.
Well, you're welcome to. He has
We'll make it
absolutely
4.
no chance whatsoever.
Okay.
Okay, so it's 4. So we'll be 101 after this race. So we'll keep it at 100 at the end of the day. So we'll bet 1 lunch. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bet you 1 lunch. Mo, you think second choice, first or second choice, out of the exacta. The horse is going to be around. Or I'll take 3-2 out of the try.
I'll give you that.
Okay, 3-2 for me. 7, not 1, 2, 3. Okay.
That I'll give you. That's what I was going to propose after you said the exact.
Race
bet.
number 9. Number 9. So
I picked number 9 and
didn't
number 9.
default to Shinjuku. I'm impressed. I thought you might just get the last race and go, I'm going to default to Shinjuku.
You got to stop saying that, man.
What?
I don't default. There's no. I mean, I don't stop at
say
the
on the
last
show I
race.
defaulted.
I don't stop at the last race. I mean, stop that.
No, but I.
If there's a default here, it's Gustavo.
Everybody at some point, you get that. It's like I always joke about those last races at Gulfstream when I was down there, and I'd be like Sunday night, we'd draw the Friday card, and I get the last race, and it was the 11 race card when they used to have 11 race cards, and they used to run big fields. It's a long time ago, but and you'd get like 15 entered at 5 furlongs in the turf there, and the lowest level claimers, and it's like I should just throw a dart. I mean, Shinjuku's okay; he's the horse to beat, but he was awful, slop or not, last time.
Haven't seen him for 6 months.
He's just impossible to trust. He wants to win a mile off 6 months.
This is one of my better Saratoga selections when I bet
what do you
him
like
2 back
about
on the turf.
Bohemian Ruby?
I was second. The first 2 starts for Gustavo on dirt anyway were better than what he had done prior.
But he ran. But Oliver's Fortune beat him 2 back, and Oliver's Fortune had legit trouble in that race, and still beat him.
I'd like to see this
And
horse.
you have the 9 on top, and you don't have the 8, 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, I don't like the 8. I felt like the 8's had enough chances already.
Okay, you're wrong.
Okay.
To pick the 9 on top and leave the 8 of the top 4 doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay.
The 8 was involved in the
felt like
pace
you had to
against
have
better
some-
horses last time. In his race 2 back, he was completely shuffled out, and he still finished ahead of Bohemian Ruby. It's very hard.
But isn't his
to
race
have
2
the 9
back
on
the
top and not
exception to the rule on his card?
No, actually not.
I think
really.
it is.
Okay, that's fine. You can
I
take
don't
that,
like
but
I felt like
there's no
Shinjuku.
chance the 9 wins the 8's off the board unless the 8 pulls up in here, basically, or something else.
I just thought it was the 1 race 2 back.
Okay. Well, you don't watch replays, so it's not really surprising.
I know he got the show. The El Mayor
No, you
race when they
don't. No,
carried
you
the
don't.
pick
No,
6.
you
I
didn't.
remember the race.
No, you didn't. There's
I
no
remember
way
the
you
race.
did, because there's no way
I
you
didn't
could get
watch
9 on top.
I didn't
and the
watch
8
the
on first
replay,
four
but I
if you
remember.
understood
I remember
making those
the
picks.
race.
The trouble. It's just stop.
I remember
Stop.
the race, but I'm not going to take him off 1 fig, off 1 race.
Right. Because the oeuvre of work for Bohemian Ruby, I mean, this is like
But at least he's
Secretariat
got,
here.
He's got 2 races, and then there's other horses
Planner
in
you
here.
want.
There's other horses in here that I think could be.
I think you were negligent.
think
Forest
you're
Wood Lane, my top pick in here. Broke a little bit slow, was wide last time, ran a little bit, gets a positive rider change, is a lightly raced horse that improved in the second start with a trip. Just my kind of horse in here. It hasn't as many chances as the other ones. I prefer him over the 3 and 8. I will bet you 1 lunch that the 8 beats the 9.
Sure. Wow, I get the 8 versus 9, yeah.
Yes, I understand. There's a chance you'll win the 8th race bet, so this could be the one that goes to either 98 or 100, because it'll be 101 after that awful bet you made earlier today. And, you got a text that you should increase your bet. Is that the guy who gave you the tip on the horse?
Nope, I don't have a tip.
I'm not the only
One of the best handicappers. One of the best handicappers I know.
Is he a clocker too?
Nope.
Anyway, you need to head over to Naira Bets, because think of how much fun you've just had. Head over to Naira Bets, use the promo code BONUS200, and you can enter the wonderful world of Naira Bets. And you can support racing in New York and keep the money in the game. Brian was wearing black today, by the way.
I didn't look.
Yeah.
I'm sick of looking over it.
I looked. Actually, Brian texted me this morning. We had a little conversation. I'm going to try to help him out at some point. I don't know if he can be helped. I mean, if Acacia can't help him, how can I possibly help him? And we've got the $30 bonus. Bet $100 on each stake race. They should have they should have a Working Man's Dead if they're going to have an American Beauty, because they came out at the same time. I know American Beauty's a rose. I'm not that big an idiot. And the Jazzle, the name of the Rick Violet horse. Was it 3 names? Was it something Fence? No, Fences I'm thinking of.
I bet him.
Do you know that I lost my Swing for the Fences hat?
Wow.
I know.
That would be coveted for me.
I know.
That's a coveted hat.
I know. I know where
Does
I left
anybody
it.
out there remember the name of the horse in
No,
the
people
money
do.
allowance race?
See, I'm thinking Read the Footnotes. I'm thinking Read to something, but we can look it up.
Yeah.
The horse that won. Somebody will tell us on Twitter. She checked it. By the way, 2:30 to 5:30 covering Oaklawn, races 3 through 8, and races 6 through 9 here. Let's see if anybody on Twitter has given us the name of that horse, because we have 1 minute before we go. I'm not optimistic about this.
We do this every year. I'm gonna put
We usually remember
put
the
a
name.
note in my phone for next year.
Wire the Field paid $10. Remember the horse paid $9 or $10.
I remember, in the track. I remember saying to myself, "How's Jazzle going to win going a mile? Was it like a mile or a mile and a 16th?" I was like,
Something like that.
How's Jazzle going to win going a
Mile
mile and a
70.
16th?
Yeah. All right, we're done.
We'll tell you tomorrow.
I'll be doing Prattles. They're 1, 3, and 4. Maggie is here, so I imagine she'll be in the paddock for at least some of those races, if not all of them. And Johnny I's back.
Johnny I is back.
I-Man is back, and he is back with a reprise, scratch, and changes. Have a great day.
Hello, racing fans. Once again, welcome to Aqueduct. Sunny skies today with the temperature at 30 degrees. The main track is fast, and here are the changes. In the first race, scratch number 7, Keen Dancer. First race, scratch the 7, Keen Dancer. No changes in the second, and there are no changes in the third. In the fourth race, note that number 7, Clash AJ, will be 1 pound over. In race 5, no changes. In the sixth race, scratch the 3, Grand Cacique. Scratch number 3, Grand Cacique. And note that number 8, Ragtime Blues, wears a hood again. In the seventh race, the Jazzle Stakes, scratch 3, Splice the Main Brace, and 4, Empty Tomb. Seventh race, scratch numbers 3 and 4. The eighth race is the Franklin Square Stakes, scratch number 10, Captain's Daughter. Scratch the 10, note that number 9, She's a Wild Joker, wears a hood again. And in the ninth race, no changes. Aqueduct's main track is fast, and Aqueduct's first race is coming up in 28 minutes at 12:20.